Listened to and viewed in more than 95 countries around the world. I'm your host, Conan Bruce, and with Tyler McQueen, we are the Gridcast. Hey guys, welcome to episode 50 of the Gridcast. We are on episode 50. Can you believe this? It's been an awesome 50 episodes. We got some exciting news the past couple of days. It sounds like the NPGL is going to be announcing their season dates here in the next week or so. So keep your eye out for that. If you're not following the NPGL website and their Facebook, you need to. That's going to be pretty cool because as soon as those dates come out, then we can start figuring out when the draft is going to be, when free agency and all those kind of things, the combines, if they're going to do pro days. So it's going to be pretty exciting as soon as they lock in those dates. Let's talk amateur leagues for a second. So again, if you're not following the amateur leagues, you're wrong. If you're a fan of the sport of grid, you have to follow all these folks because there's all kinds of things going on. In particular, we're standing in the MAGL venue right now. On February 13th, the MAGL is going to be doing a recreational level tournament, a grid competition. Why that's cool is because it's not pro, it's not semi-pro, it's down at the normal athlete level, right? Which is pretty cool. People are going to be playing grid in a tournament. They've got prizes. I don't think they're going to live stream it, but they definitely are going to be posting on social media, so follow them on Instagram, Snapchat, and they're definitely on Facebook. All right, let's talk about the show this week. We got Ruby Wiswall from the Miami Surge, owner-operator of the Miami Surge. She is pretty cool. If you haven't seen our episode where we talked to Ruby and Mather, go back and check that out. I'll put the actual episode in the show notes. But let's just get to the interview and see what Ruby has to say. See you over there. All right, guys, here we are in CrossFit 215 in Philly, PA. Are we in Philly?
Philly.
Technically?
You are in Philly.
We're like on the outskirts, right?
Well.
Or we are in Philly.
Yeah, this is in Philly.
I don't know. I haven't been to this part of Philly, so I felt a little off kilter.
Philly's big. Philly's
It
got a lot of different neighborhoods.
I'm in a little town called District of Columbia. It's not that big.
Right. Yeah, I've heard of it.
So we're here with Ruby Wiswall, owner-operator of the Miami Surge. We caught up with her here in Philly town.
Philly town.
Let's talk about how did a lady from Philly, are you from Philly?
Well, Westchester, about an hour outside of Philadelphia.
So you're from this area.
Mm-hmm.
How a lady from the Philly area makes her way to grid and owning and operating a grid team, a professional sports team?
Well, I've had this is kind of a point of pride for me, but I don't know if I should be proud of it. I've had over 30 jobs in my life, which, I feel like is a really good experience, but
Jack of all trades.
Exactly. It really is. I look back from now and I think, oh, this job prepared me for this section of my work now. And, it's really been a winding road to get here, but it's awesome. I love it.
Well, tell us about that winding road. How did it happen?
Well, I started out, so I am a dancer. I like to dance. And so there was a big part of me that wanted to, be a dancer and maybe be Britney Spears' backup dancer or something like that. So I moved to California, right?
Tyler tried out.
Did he make it?
No. Obviously.
Well, I moved to LA after college to try and make that dream happen. And it didn't, which is fine. I mean, the potential upside was actually very small considering the many, many downsides of living in LA. So no offense, LA Rain. So I kind of moved around from there, ended up back in Philadelphia just because, I missed my family and stuff like that. I took my only 9-to-5 job after I got back from that travel. And that's actually the first time that I worked with Mather. We both worked for...
and Mather is...
my brother.
Yeah.
And he is the GM of the Miami Surge.
Cool. Brother-sister team.
Brother-sister team.
Pretty cool.
That's right. So that was the first time we worked together. I was a project manager and really learned a lot of my skills that I still use now, all my processes, through that job, project managing. So I really clearly, it really directly translates to what I do now. And then after that, I only lasted about a year in the 9-to-5 world. And then I spent about 10 years total in the restaurant industry.
All
so
right.
I worked for some of the nicest, fine dining restaurants in Philadelphia. And that really helped me with, my project management skills too, because you need to have a list in your head. You need to keep a smile on your face. You need to keep going. And, there's a lot of skills in that.
There's something to be said to learn true customer service,
Absolutely.
right? It comes in handy.
Yes.
Like I worked in the restaurant industry. I was a bartender, bar back, all that kind of stuff. And, when you're not really happy with someone, but you still have to smile, right?
It's a skill.
Comes in handy.
Especially drawing them back over to your side.
Right.
I mean, I learned a lot in that industry. So, but at the same time, my brother had started his web marketing and branding company, and my mom was working with us for that as well. So, just kind of like watching their back and forth, I said, well, you guys are the creatives, and I have that project management background, so let me get on that and help grow this business to be something that's more organized. And so I took over the accounting and the invoicing and the project management for that company, and then eventually all three of us went, and that was our full-time job. So that was the second time Mather and I worked together, and we did that for 4 years or so, and then kind of stumbled upon this opportunity to create a box league. So we wanted to make CrossFit into a sport. Imagine that. And we met this awesome partner who asked us to join her in creating this box league in Philly, and we went through one season.
Now, are you guys CrossFitters already?
Yes, yeah.
Right,
We've been coming here for 5 years or so, I think,
cool.
maybe longer than that. So, that we're passionate, obviously, about CrossFit and health. And, Mather was able to use his marketing background. I was able to use my project management background. And I also, in the restaurant industry, I have event experience as well.
Sure.
I've been coordinator for weddings and big banquets and stuff like that. So all of that came in handy when putting on this box league. So we went through one season of that, and, it was successful. We had a great time. We were planning the second season, and we had a Google alert set up for CrossFit League. And we got a Google alert saying there's this new, Tony Budding's going to start this crazy new
That's pretty funny.
thing.
That's
yeah.
awesome.
So we read about it,
Thank
and it was kind of like, right? I know. Because we were literally, I think, one of the very first potential teams to reach out to him and get the ball rolling. So our partner ended up going to work for the league, and then we wanted to pursue owning a team. And so it all just kind of happened from there.
Now, why not why not Philly, but how did Miami come about? Why Miami?
Yeah, so obviously we kind of went for Philly first, and it just happened that Philly was the only city in all of the applications that they received that had two applications.
2 people, right?
Yeah. So it was pretty clear that the league wanted to have both of the operators in the league, and so we were able. I mean, there was a lot of reasons for it, but one big reason was because we were willing to move. You know, we were like, okay, this is too big of an opportunity to let go.
Miami is a good sports town.
Yeah, I mean,
who doesn't want to live in Miami?
Right. Mather's never leaving, that's for sure. So yeah, I mean, it was just kind of a, well, we're going to give Philly to somebody else, but why don't you go find another city? And we looked at a lot of different places, but it just so happened that, our investors lined up in Miami. The CrossFit community is amazing down there.
Yeah, it is.
And so, and warm weather, all those other fringe benefits. So it worked out really, really well, and we're super happy to be in Miami.
Yeah, I mean, you guys have gotten a great organization going, a lot of great athletes down there. So we've talked about you. Let's talk about the team now.
Okay.
So
it's my favorite topic.
Right? So let's talk about last season.
Okay.
All right. I think we started off with a couple of big injuries, like right off the bat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
So Lauren Brooks was out. Julian was out. Julian Cerna was out. So we had some holes to fill for sure.
That's a heck of a way to start.
I know.
Right? When you're coming into a season. And then you had a coaching change. Right? Coach Chapman came on board. And so talk to us about how that works. So here you are, you're operating a relatively new sports team, and then all of a sudden you're changing coaches. You've got a couple of key athletes that go out. Like how do you deal with that kind of stuff?
I mean, honestly, the training in grid in general, just getting into grid, going as fast as we did in the first season, nothing went as planned, like nothing. So
can we call it chaos?
Controlled chaos, I would say, as controlled as possible.
Chaos.
Yeah. So really, I mean, it's just we have to roll with the punches, and that's what we did. And I think with Brooke, we, Mather found her on Instagram and was like, this girl's going to be a star,
right.
Super, super special. He was really excited about it and started talking to her and introducing her to the sport of grid, early on. So we had, I think just preparation is huge in helping with that. And actually, Doug had I believe he came to our home match in 2014 and had talked to Mather and talked to Steve. And so we were just like, if there's somebody with this amount of experience, and he's got experience. He saw it. He understood how big this could be. And so, right. It was just kind of like a really good timing in that him coming on board. I think he might have reached out to us and brought it up. So
yeah.
He's
definitely
awesome.
A proven commodity when it comes to training athletes. I mean, you can't argue with that. So your first match last season versus LA Reign in San Jose worked out well for you guys. So how was that to come into your first match? You've got a new coach, probably a little chaotic, even though it's second season starting off, and you got to win. So how did that match go for you?
I mean, it was stressful.
Yeah.
Well, all of our girls were new. Jen Jones was really the mainstay of of 2014. So all of our girls had to get used to the speed and the strategy, and our coach was new. And so, like the whole planning process was really difficult just because we didn't have like all of those people didn't have the experience from the year before. So that definitely changed a lot. We got lucky on certain things in LA, but I think it was our guys that really, they had that experience. They knew what they had to do and they just did it. Yep. And so, we're super thankful for all of them. And we pulled out some awesome things. Roderick did 15 unbroken backwards roll to supports, and he didn't get a lot of attention for that, right. But I think he should have, because it was awesome. It was so awesome.
Right. So how did it feel coming out of that win, and then you come into the next match? I forgot where it was at, but you were against San Francisco Fire, and didn't go as well.
Yeah, there was a lot of again, I think the planning. It was a brand new match, so Kona, we actually felt really confident about that match, and I think that plan that we had, just didn't work as well as it could have, I guess. Right. Compared against another team, we looked at it against other teams. We there's a lot of teams that we would have beaten, right? But we didn't have that like extra experience, I think, to think about, well, if this happens or this starts happening, what can we do to combat that? So, because it was a really good, well programmed match for our strengths, and so we were very confident going in. So it was crushing. It was a blow.
Any given day, right? It can go either way.
Exactly.
And I think a lot of people don't give enough thought to the fact that with grid, with the season not being as long as it may be one day, you don't have that opportunity to play that match a few times and kind of get a rhythm going and knowing, kind of how things. And not that you play the same match again and again and again, but like you said, if you guys maybe on another given day, it would have gone your way, right, against the Fire. And the Fire was a tough team. It is a tough team.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So it was good that you guys could even get in there and hold your own. And I mean, do you think, not taking anything away from the lady athletes on the team, but that's probably where you guys have got to bring, at least that's where I think the guys crushed it.
The guys, yeah.
The guys crushed it.
Yeah, for sure.
And then there were several of the lady-only races where they struggled because the Fire has such a strong, presence. So
yeah, we're definitely, I think all teams would like more strong women because that's going to what's going to win you matches.
That's going to how you're going to win grid matches,
right?
Like
for sure.
I think DC and maybe another team or two have shown that like that's where you're going to have to be like on the heavy side.
Yeah.
So with that said, you come into Phoenix. It comes down to race 11.
Oh.
Race 11, and you guys actually replayed the race.
Yes.
Right. So that was like literally neck and neck.
Yes.
Right. So how does it feel to know just coming through the season, starting off on a high, and then kind of coming to that last race?
Honestly, so we send out a survey to all our athletes after every season. Well, after the last two seasons.
Yeah.
And we just want some really honest feedback. And one of the questions that we asked was, what was your favorite match? Even though we lost, majority of the athletes said that Miami was their favorite match because
it was a home match. Though.
It was our home match. Yeah. So the crowd, the energy that was there, I mean, it was just so fun. And, honestly, like, I think that we lost literally by a couple seconds, like it absolutely could have gone our way. And most people didn't think that it would, I think. So we proved ourselves, and I feel really proud of the team for it. I think it was an absolutely amazing match, and it was a great performance. And, it was just not in the cards.
So with those, with 1 win, 2 losses, one of them being really close like that. So that's last season. As you come into this season, let's look forward into 2016. What are the takeaways from last season? What are the like 2 or 3 top priorities for the Miami Surge from your perspective as the owner, the operator? Like how do you look at it for the season?
I think definitely strong women. I mean, that's probably going to be priority every year. But I think just planning and execution. Having that plan to. Like I said, Doug was a new coach last year. And so, now with that experience, like just using the experience that we have for the past 2 seasons and using that to put together a really, really good plan. Because, like the coaches that are so successful in grid have that minutia down. They think of everything. And that's, I think, just like the main part that we've been lacking, because now a lot of our girls are going to have more experience. So it's a lot different than it was going into 2015.
Big difference.
Our team is awesome. Like, we're so happy with our team.
You have the ladies. So. You have them there, right? Keeping them healthy and strong.
Exactly.
I tell people, you mentioned the minutia, like the coaches that get that. And it's funny because we had for the D.C. home match that they had in it was actually in Maryland, as all D.C. sports are. None of them are actually in D.C. That's where we're at. So some of the teams practiced in my gym.
Okay. And
you could clearly see, and I won't name them, but you could clearly see the ones that were doing the dance, meaning they were going through it just again and again and again to where it was like so smooth. The athletes were just like they knew, like, they didn't have to look backwards. They knew where the next athlete was going to go. And the other teams that came in, they were kind of like, oh yeah, I know I got to go over there. Oh yeah, I got to do this. And they lost.
Right.
The ones that didn't put that time in to do the dance. It's like practicing dance.
It
right?
absolutely is.
It's 100%. That little bit of difference between just practice.
Yep. But the other thing is, though, that you have to be able to deviate from the plan. If something starts to go wrong, you have to be able to, at the same time as all this other stuff is going on, say, oh, I have to do 2 extra reps here because that, it didn't happen the way that it was supposed to in practice. So I think that's a major part of, getting prepared and getting ready and throwing things at people that they don't expect, and that's all stuff that we'll be working on for sure.
Top 2 things you're going to focus on for 2016.
Strong women and planning.
And winning the Pinnacle Trophy?
Clearly, obviously. I really have a good feeling about 2016 for the Surge. I really feel like the last 2 years we've been checking off the boxes of the things that we need to learn, and feel really good about it.
Well, we're going to take a break for sponsors. We got to pay the bills. And then when we come back, we're going to talk to Ruby about the Florida Grid League, an amateur grid league down there. All right? We'll be right back.
We love to lift, laugh, and improve. This is Björk Odinsdatter.
All right, guys, we're back. So, Ruby, we talked about how you made it to grid. We talked about the team and how you guys are going to make it all the way this year, playoffs. Okay, now let's talk about Florida Grid League. What is the Florida Grid League?
It's the amateur league in Florida. So it's basically the only way that you can play grid in Florida right now. True grid.
True grid. So how are you guys? So we like to talk about this because people all around the country are trying to figure out ways to play grid, right? And a lot of people think, well, the only thing I can do is like make it to the pros or do it like what you don't. You can start grassroots level.
Right.
And so how did you guys start that league? Like what does it look like? What does it actually, how did you start it? And then what does that actually mean to have a league? Like what are you guys doing?
Well, we started it last year. A lot based on the response that we got. We just had a lot of people. There's so many pro grid athletes in Florida, And, so therefore we have a pretty good community down there of people that know about the sport, and we just need to
not
get
just
them
Miami
to,
Surge athletes. Like
right, exactly. I think there's 5 different teams that are represented in Florida. So it's pretty decent. So we knew that we wanted to give people an opportunity because it's so fun, like racing is so much fun. And we also just want to grow the grid presence in Florida, obviously. So we started last year with just, we did one event with the throwdown. We did an FGL throwdown, and it was kind of like taking grid and just the structure of it. We did the 11 races, but it was 5 teams, and they all went against each other, and we made a couple cuts until down to race 11 was just the 2 last teams. So that was just, our structure to kind of get the process going, I guess, and get people racing. Because
it is an education process.
It is
right?
an education, yeah. And we actually had a grid day last year where it was just solely about education, getting people racing. We were doing like air squats and just box jumps and things like that so that anybody can play, because literally anybody can play. And we had somebody drive down from South Carolina for that. We had somebody that I just actually saw at Wadapalooza. She said she's been training exclusively for grid now after our grid day because she loved it so much. It was just so much fun for her. So we're really excited to be able to offer the opportunity for people to try racing and do something different. There's a lot of competitions in Florida, and they're, pretty much the same. Like, they're pretty played out, I feel like. Maybe not played out, but people are excited for something different.
A CrossFit throwdown is a CrossFit throwdown. I mean, I know it's not a CrossFit throwdown. Don't sue me, CrossFit. It's a functional fitness throwdown, whatever you want to call it, right? I have been sued by CrossFit, so I have to be careful.
Oh, yikes.
And I'm an affiliate owner. I'm just kidding. I wasn't sued. They just sent me a nasty letter.
Say, what's your
story? Sent me a nasty letter. That's a long story. I digress. So but you're right. We have the same kind of throwdowns all over the Mid-Atlantic, and people are used to that, and they just want to compete, right? I think CrossFit has started as a way for 2 people to work out and use a fitness methodology to compete. Like we're always like, what was your time? What was my time? Right. So it grew out of that, and now we've got this great sport. Not only do we have a great fitness methodology, but we've got a great sport. But grid is like it's a different spin on that.
Absolutely.
Right? Where it's a race, so everybody loves a race.
Anybody
loves to compete, loves to race.
Exactly. And everybody loves being on a team. That team camaraderie, even when we're just throwing people together at a grid day or something, like just throwing some strangers together, they start racing together, and it's like they're best friends,
right.
And you don't get that feeling anywhere else except for being on a team. So we're super pumped about that part too. We want to try and get, this season is all about just getting as many people racing as possible. We have a couple of different ideas on how to do that, whether it's partnering with gyms or, kind of being a different division in a existing CrossFit competition or functional fitness competition. Yeah. Just different ideas on how we can make it a low barrier of entry to just try it out and see if you like it. And we're so confident that you will, that we're planning, for down the road. Like, all of this is going to end up going towards a full amateur, season.
So that's a long-term plan.
Long-term plan, yeah.
Organized teams,
Absolutely.
seasons, several weeks, playoffs, championships, the whole bit, right?
Yeah.
So what if and we do have a lot of folks that watch this that are in different parts of the country or even different parts of the world that aren't near something like that. What are a few things you would tell someone that's watching, hey, these are some key things you might want to do to just get started?
The biggest thing that we've really learned is to reach out to operators. So the team operators, if you can get the people to organize the people within their team, figure out, if you're traveling somewhere or if they need to schedule practices or whatever it is, like making sure that everybody understands what they're signing up for and then does what they need to do moving forward. 8 to 14 people is a lot of people to manage. And so having a team operator that's into grid and excited about it and takes responsibility for that is huge. So that's really what, our focus is trying to find those people. And we've actually got quite a list going of people that are interested in doing that role. And they could be, coaches too. They could be players too. So it's just like a specific skill set. But once you have those people, then they will do a lot of the work for you
go out
with the teams.
Find the leaders first.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. If you can find the leaders who are into it and then know people that will join their team, then, the teams kind of can take care of themselves. You just have to plan your events, whatever they're going to be. And honestly, I would say start small because it's a big commitment to have something. Even what we learned with, our original box league was that, asking somebody to commit to 5 weekends, in between, like we did it in the fall. It's a lot, there's a lot going on, school's going on for parents and all of that kind of stuff. Yeah. So just starting small is really good. Get people into it, get people interested in knowing what they're signing up for, and then they'll be excited for, the possibility of doing it. And then, lastly, I would say understand grid yourself, like to put on a true, if you have the facility, have a rig, whatever, like really.
Now, do you need this massive professional grid rig?
Definitely not.
Right.
Let me tell you about it. No, seriously, we've gone to a bunch of different types of gyms. You do need a good amount of space if you're going to have two teams going head to head against each other. It's ideal to have the rig down the center of the gym, but it's not necessary. I mean, we've done all kinds of different configurations that is fair. It's just not exactly the grid style. And you can even do strictly barbell movements. You don't have to do pull-ups and all of that kind of stuff on a rig. So there's a lot of different ways that you can do it.
There's plenty of gymnastics movements that you don't need a rig for.
Yeah, for sure. So, knowing all of that stuff, knowing how to program for grid, like specifically for the grid races, knowing who you're working with. Are you going to be... Is it for everybody, or is it going to be for kind of just under the regional level type athlete?
So what level of athlete? What level of athlete are you going towards?
Yeah, that's definitely helpful. And personally, I maintain that, it should be for anybody. I really feel like, we can program so that it appeals to the higher level athletes. So every team has to have one or two people who can do bar muscle ups and those really heavy clean and jerks and stuff like that. But then you can throw some front squats in there, and you can throw some just regular old pull ups and, stuff that the majority of CrossFitters can do. And that way your team is really diverse and it's so much fun, and that's really the whole point of grid, is that it's fun. It's entertainment. It's entertainment for the spectator and for the athlete. So, that's my thought on it. Not everybody thinks that way, but I think that, the more people that we can get involved and, get racing,
right,
the bigger our sport's going to be and the more fun it's going to be for everybody. So,
well, you can play football anywhere. It won't look like football. You can play soccer anywhere. It might not look exactly like soccer. Or if you give me a soccer ball, I can play soccer. Give me a football, or give me something that looks like a football. I think that grid, once people wrap their head around what really is what are the fundamentals of grid, they'll realize you can play it anywhere. In the gym that we're in right now, we could easily set up
and they have.
Put 4 quadrants on both sides and rock and roll.
Completely. Yeah. So it's definitely, you don't need this huge daunting task of finding a grid with a rig down the center and all of that kind of stuff. If you find a gym with a decent amount of space, you can make it work. So
do you guys have a website for the FGL?
We do, yes, thefgl.com.
Thefgl.com. On Facebook, I would assume. You guys are on Facebook?
Yep.
So
Facebook,
if people
Twitter,
wanted
Instagram.
to get more information, maybe they could Facebook message you guys at the FGL,
For sure.
or go check out the website. I'm sure you guys have a contact form or some
we do.
sort.
Yep, and you can also just email info@thefgl.com.
Info@thefgl. We'll make sure to put that in the show notes.
Okay.
Big plans for FGL long term. Work your way into a season right now. Just getting people educated, promoting the sport, that sort of thing.
Yep.
That sounds awesome.
We're really excited.
Yeah, I think and if you watch our show at all, it's what we talk about a lot more now, because we've realized that the sport will continue on if there's a recreational level. If kids and teens are playing it, if young folks are playing it, if lower level athletes are playing it, just like pick up basketball. You're not going to get rid of basketball if if the NBA goes away tomorrow. Like, basketball will still be around.
Right.
So not that the NBA is going anywhere, not that the MPGL is going anywhere, but the sport of grid is playable.
But that's where fans are going to come from,
Absolutely.
you know, and it is so true that the people that have played and discovered how fun it is, they are the people that really were into buying our tickets for the home matches and things like that. So, you know, it's definitely great for the NPGL, in addition to being great for the athletes and the people that get to try something new and you know, discover a new fun sport.
Awesome. Well, look, Ruby, we appreciate you taking time out today to hang out with us. And
It's my pleasure.
As always, we love having you on the show. Make sure to check out the show we did with Ruby and Mather at the Combine. I'll put which episode that was in the show notes. And looking forward to big things from the Miami Surge.
Yeah.
Cool.
Let's do.
Thanks for being here. All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed the show. And now,
Clean up your jerks and snatches,
drink your beer in batches.
and always dominate your grid matches.
We'll see you next time.